As founder of the American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the Black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
Margaret Sanger is often celebrated as a pioneer for women's reproductive rights. She founded the American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood. But behind the public image is a much more troubling story, one rooted in eugenics, racism, and a vision for a society that targeted the most vulnerable. Let's be real. Sanger wasn't just about helping women. She was obsessed with eugenics, the idea of improving society by controlling who gets to have children. She said things like, "The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective." She wasn't shy about government intervention either, pushing for forced sterilization and segregation of the poor, the feeble-minded, and anyone she thought was unfit.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes.
Now let's talk about the so-called Negro Project. In 1939, Sanger launched this initiative with the stated goal of helping Black communities in the South. But dig a little deeper and you see the real motives. She wrote, "We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members." Sanger's plan was to use trusted Black leaders like ministers and doctors to sell their birth control to their own communities, making it look more like a grassroots movement. But the real goal? Reduce the Black birth rate and, in her own words, eliminate the defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. She wasn't just targeting the Black community, she was targeting the poor, the marginalized, anyone she saw as a burden to society. And let's not forget, she even spoke at a KKK rally to spread her message.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activists launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
Would the Black community be better off without Sanger? Absolutely. If Sanger's vision had never taken root, the Black community could have built stronger families, preserved its cultural legacy, and avoided decades of being targeted by policies that treated them as problems to be solved rather than people to be empowered. Even today, the legacy of Sanger's ideas lives on, with abortion clinics disproportionately located in poor and minority neighborhoods.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
"Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group."
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
So what's the alternative? It's not just about rejecting Sanger's legacy. It's about embracing a better way. The Torah teaches that every life is sacred, that every child is a blessing, and that communities thrive when they care for the most vulnerable. Unlike Sanger's vision of social engineering and population control, the Torah calls for justice, compassion, and the protection of the weak. Imagine a world where Black families are supported, children are cherished, and the community is built on faith, respect, and love, not fear and control. That's the world the Torah points us towards, and that's the world we should be working to create.
The reason I call it the repackaging of Margaret Sanger is because after the Nazi regime destroyed the legitimacy of eugenics forever, they then went back and said, oh, she was just an early feminist. She was just an early supporter of family planning. No, she wasn't. Now, she was a supporter of giving IQ tests to people. She was in favor of using those IQ tests to determine who should be sterilized and who should have children.
Margaret Sanger's legacy isn't just a footnote in history, it's a warning. Her ideas targeted the poor and Black populations, leaving a trail of harm that's still felt today. But we don't have to accept this legacy. By turning to the wisdom of the Torah, we can build a future rooted in dignity, justice, and hope for every person. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that challenges the mainstream narrative and uplifts our community. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going.
Under the veil of secrecy and deception, 60+ million babies have not been born because they were aborted legally since '73. 1/3 of that population belong to the African American community.